Joining us now, Saul Wisenberg, former White House Deputy Independent Counsel and a Fox News contributor. Saul, it's been a while. Good to have you back on the program. A lot to take in here and a lot that we learned yesterday from his former business partner. How will this all come together now? A, with the investigation by lawmakers, and B, whether or not a sweetheart plea deal will eventually get cut. What happens next?
Well, they're two separate things. What happens with Congress and what happens with DOJ. DOJ is not going to give much cooperation or any cooperation to Congress on the issue of why did the plea deal break down. But it's important what Congress is doing because the DOJ clearly is not doing its job in the Hunter Biden investigation. So the key point is the key point to this deal, this plea deal that blew up, was that both parties, both sides, the government and Biden's attorneys, wanted plausible deniability. Hunter Biden his attorneys wanted to be able to say, hey, we've got a broad immunity agreement as part of this. You can never prosecute us again, him again, for just about anything that happened historically. And DOJ wanted to be able to say, nah, the language, it doesn't really say that, so that they could keep saying to Congress, it's an ongoing investigation, we don't want to talk about it. And the judge kept that from happening, and she kept it from happening because a plea has to be knowing and voluntary. And it was clear that the two sides had different views of what the plea bargain was. I do think there will ultimately be a plea bargain agreement that the judge can accept.
What does that eventually look like, do you think?
I think he's not going, there won't be any more open issue about how much it protects him from future prosecution for non-tax related things. I think that'll have to be made clear what the charge bargaining, that's the term of art, what the charge bargaining is. And that's number one. And number two, it'll have to be in the plea agreement itself, not in this pretrial diversion agreement. That is what really upset the judge, because typically charge bargaining happens in the plea agreement, and the judge can say, I accept it, I reject it, or I'm going to defer it. By putting it into the diversion agreement, they were robbing the judge of the ability to do that, and so it's going to be there for all to see. It's going to be there and publicly available, and I think that's what's going to happen. But what the Congress can do, because Merrick Garland and David Weiss have already talked about who had what authority in the Hunter Biden investigation within DOJ, and they've discussed the whistleblower's testimony to that extent. And so those people need to be hauled in under oath. Attorney General Garland, U.S. Attorney Weiss, and Deputy AG Lisa Monaco, because she is clearly the person who was talking to David Weiss and telling him what he could or couldn't do. And they just need to be asked simple questions that they can answer without revealing details of the investigation. Questions like, did David Weiss call you and ask for special attorney authority? When he did so, what did you say to him? Is it true that the U.S. attorney in D.C. refused to sanction charges against Hunter Biden? And how is that consistent with Attorney General Garland's statement that there was would be no political interference? And same question for the U.S. attorney in California, who also declined to prosecute. Those are the kind of questions that could and should be answered under oath.
And you get the sense a lot of people sitting at home have very similar questions. As the GOP noted in their request for more information, there are serious concerns about how the department has handled this matter. And American people certainly would want to get to the bottom of that. Saul, great to have you on today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.